everybody. It is a Saturday night here in California, and I am bringing this Facebook Live in my response to the tremendous power of spirit and love and conscience and passion that has swept our country at the moment with these children from the Parkland, Florida shooting. And I felt moved to bring out my thoughts and my feelings based upon the fact that we have a huge awakening taking place and a huge collective stirring of the soul taking place. The purpose of me doing this Facebook Live is to bring about a reinforcement of the wave of energy that has been unleashed, a radiant energy that has been unleashed with today's activity of these brilliant children. I want to bring forth a container of how we can, in our personal lives, bring out more of what has been initiated with these children, so that the awakening and the opening up and the unleashing, that's really what it is, the unleashing of this spirit will not just calmly fizzle down, but rather we can make it to be a battery into which we can plug in as we return and persist in our day-to-day lives. So my purpose here is to share with you what I feel is really going on so that we can awaken and stir and free our intuitive awareness and the power of our soul to do what we came here to do as individuals in this lifetime. Underneath it all, when I step back and take kind of like a bird's eye view from a spiritual perspective, I feel that what is happening since Trump was elected in 2016 is that there has been a combat that has taken place, a war that has erupted of conscience versus mental domination, where the mental domination is really driven by selfishness and what a person can get away with without any interest in the impact on those involved. I think that if we step back into a very elevated, removed observer position, what we will see is evil versus the light. Now, there are going to be people, if they have access to this Facebook Live, that are going to go into their default mode. And some of the default that I'm going to list for you is really to help all of us know how to sustain our stance when we are hit with some of these knee-jerk, programmed, brainwashed, non-thinking responses. So number one, my comments have absolutely nothing to do with partisanship. I don't care if this is a Republican or a Democrat or an independent. If Trump and his group were Democrats, I would still come out and say what I'm saying. If Trump and his group were the independents, I would still come out and say what I'm saying. This has nothing to do with that kind of distinction or filter. It happens to be that this is a Republican face right now. And as such, when people come at you and they call you snowflakes and liberals and God only knows what else, it has no logic to it. It is absent of wisdom. It is devoid of any kind of truth of what the issue really is. So when people come at you and accuse you of liberal and blah, 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 really in your heart of hearts, what you're hearing are the words from people who have not thought anything deeply through based upon a committed observation of what is really going on around them. They grab onto that as some kind of desperate attempt to be powerful in a comeback. However, between you and me, I'm telling you from my wisdom, from my perspective, and this is just my truth, from my position, what is happening is simply someone who is afraid to look neutrally at the facts at hand and make their own deductive reasoning. They are feeling impotent and powerless on some level because they will not give themselves permission to feel the anguish and the suffering that is now happening as a result of this administration. Number two, the other default mode is, let's talk about the NRA. And the NRA is right now a very good voice to show and model for us how the facts are twisted. The essence of the issue is being twisted, exactly like what happened with the NFL players and them not kneeling for the anthem. How foolish, how stupid, how missing the point, how arrogant, how sad that people took those actions, just like the way people are reacting in the NRA. They are taking the essence issue and they are making it about something that is just completely off topic. It is precisely why the NFL players were kneeling, is because they, in their commitment and their love for America, are taking a stand against the massacres that are taking place against the Afro-American people. And if you don't see that, or if people don't see that, then they're blind and they're sad, and you shouldn't really spend much time with people like that, in my opinion, because their input is not based on really being present to what's going on. Now with the NRA, they are desperately throwing around these conspiracy theories where they're stating that we're taking away Second Amendment rights to carry arms. That is just not the issue at all. It's almost like somebody who goes into a grocery store where all that's sold in a grocery store is fruit, nothing else, just fruit. And some shopper comes in and they start railing and getting upset because you don't sell clothes in this store. Well, it's because that's not what the store is for. The store is for fruit. So my metaphor here is that the NRA is accusing these brilliant kids and the message that they bring, that the kids are saying that nobody should have the right to bear arms. It's just not the point at all. The point that these beautiful children are making is that the need to get these assault weapons off such an easy access is critically important. That background checks are critically important. And that some of these other fancy attachments that go on these guns, that they should not be made available so easily. There is no reason for a regular, ordinary citizen to be carrying around an AR-15. And then when you listen to the words of that woman, I don't even remember her name, who is the spokeswoman for the NRA. I mean, I listened to her and it puts chilling ice cubes in my vein because she is not caring about the people. She is caring about her job. She is caring about the self-image that she has somehow invested in. She is caring about her particular slant on life and her manipulations and how she's undercutting these Parkland children is just, it's painful to listen to, as well as the head of the NRA and how they are claiming that having these rallies and this cry, this desperate, reasonable, justified cry for gun control is some attack on people's rights, is some attack on having people who are reasonable and grounded and stable and good citizens, that they are going to be at a loss. That is not what is being proposed. And that response is purely a manipulation. And so, again, I'm bringing forth these default responses from the domains of our society right now that are being called to be accountable, so that when you hear these responses, after you get over the shock at the insanity and the viciousness of these things that are being said and done, after you recuperate from that and come back to centeredness, then it's a matter of analyzing exactly what these people are saying and exactly what their intention is. So far, we've covered the part about being an anti-American because people are kneeling, being anti-American because people are not wanting to have guns be such an epidemic, easy access, so that when people have a bad mood or they have their mental illness episodes, they can wipe out people as they do. The other knee-jerk response that you hear, and the other thing that I'd said was the knee-jerk response that if you come up and you challenge these agendas that are taking place, you're being nailed as a label of liberal and Democrat and independent and anti-American because you're going against the president. That is not what's happening. What's happening is that what the president and his group is bringing out is so foul and is so anti the thriving of mainstream Americans that it has to be contested. We are not a beaten down culture. We are not a banana republic. We have our minds, we have our conscience, and what is happening, as I said at the very beginning of this talk, is that we are in a conscience, a character awakening, a character, meaning the values, the qualities, the traits that become our personal law, our personal code of conduct. Our president is a pathological liar, and his treatment towards women is abhorrent. And then there is this presence of bringing God and religion, and I guess you'd classify it as the evangelical movement, and it is so riddled with lies and contradictions that when you look at some of these people that are in the GOP and they are protesting against women's right to have birth control, they are protesting against gay and the various levels of, I don't know what the classification is, you know, people who have other sexual orientations. And they're railing against transgender. Listen, it was a transgender soldier that was part of the elite team that took down bin Laden. This was a transgender person. I apologize to that individual. I don't recall that person's name right now, but this was an elite team of hardened, committed Americans who did the most heroic act under Obama's administration, which was to take down bin Laden, who orchestrated the entire 9/11 massacre. And so the contradiction, the hypocrisy is that here the GOP is coming at Americans, and yet you'll find that some of them have been arrested for child trafficking. They have been arrested for prostitution rings. They have been arrested for all these other, aberrant behaviors, and yet they are such strong voices of family values and Christian values. I'm telling you, we are in a time where we have to use our intuition. We have to learn how to stay emotionally strong and centered, so that when it is a level of insanity, in my opinion, this level of insanity, of contradiction, is presented to us, that we can rebound like these magnificent children of the Parkland, Florida group, where no matter what is flung at them, the hurtful, the venomous, the viciousness, calling them paid, what was it? I don't even remember the exact name, but paid crisis, I don't know, sufferers. I mean, you have to Google it, but some people were calling these children paid actors to show up and come across as being hurt and frightened and traumatized, and therefore they are now part of a conspiracy of leftists to contest our current administration. I mean, it's assaulting to one's intelligence and to one's soul if you are a thinking, deductive reasoning, observant person who cares about humanity, who loves our country and our world, and is not willing to buckle under this assault that has happened to us ever since this administration took place in 2016. Now, my purpose here is not to attack our current administration. My purpose is solely for us to use this magnificent elixir of truth and courage and wisdom and eloquence and concentrated, concentrated call to action of an inspired soul purpose that these children from Parkland are modeling for us. And I ask all of us, and I'm searching myself, believe me, I have a very busy life as a business owner. I'm a coach and a healer and an intuitive and a visionary. And my life, my plate is full like everybody else's, more or less. And yet we have to be not only active in our own personal life, we have to become global citizens, at least nationwide citizens, where we stay on top of the facts and we find some sliver of action that we can take. And so my point here is that it is a call for us to all calm down. I'm speaking for myself, believe me. I have to do this, what I'm describing to you, every single day. Every couple of days, I have to really dust myself off from the shock and the awe and the pain and the anger and the rage that I feel as I watch what is being done to us in our country. And when I look from a detached spiritual higher purpose view, I see this fight of evil versus the light. And I have to pull myself away, get my head screwed on straight, strengthen up my nervous system and my emotions, and then get back into the ring again. And so here we are facing a critical point where we're going to have another nominee who is a warmonger, this John Bolton. And in all of the years that he has been in official positions, he has pushed for nuclear wars. He is now the voice that whispers in Trump's ears. And anybody who knows anything about Trump knows that Trump is unstable, knows that he is a liar, knows that right now he is fighting for his life in a sense because the Mueller investigation is going into his personal financial affairs, of which there are probably a number of violations in taking bribes and contributions illegally from other countries, and all of these constitutional violations that take time to be revealed. He is feeling the pressure of that. and he has the consciousness of a cornered child. He has the consciousness of someone who is desperately fighting to show up as strong, show up as right, show up as not going to take being taken down. The entire landscape of his sexual scandals, the lies, the attacks, his cowardice in how he let go of Tillerson and McCabe and Comey, his inability to have any class, any decency, any fortitude of character is so sad, because we as Americans, we are not now, but we were the leader of the free world, not because of our military prowess, but because of the intelligence, because of the progressiveness. Right now with Pruitt in the EPA, they have gone ahead and lifted, they have reversed regulations. So now our water streams, our main water streams are being poisoned right now because the regulations have been reversed. Right now, our air is now being polluted because regulations have been reversed. Right now, the poisoning from different factories and plants that also include pesticides that are going into not only the air, but the ground and our food. All of this is happening. We are under attack. Now, I'm not saying this to get people riled up, but you have to have an emotional response like these magnificent children. We have to not be afraid of those emotions. To have these emotions is not feeding the problem. Some people have a misconception in the pop spiritual world that if we have these emotional reactions, then we are becoming a part of the problem. We are not becoming a part of the problem. In fact, what we are being, which is my signature work in the world, is we are being light leaders. In my business and working with business owners and community leaders, as well as just talking to people standing online at the grocery store, what you're going to hear from me relentlessly is light leader. What is a light leader? A light leader is someone who has core values that are committed to humanity, to consciousness, to conscience building, and to compassion, to have a world where there is room for all of us to thrive, other than those who are here to be evil. And a light leader is someone who is committed to developing their intuition so that they can discern the truth that comes through their own soul. And a light leader is someone who knows how to exude vibrations of compassion and love and caring, even in the midst of an argument. You know how, as a light leader, to activate a healing frequency. And I teach my clients and students how to do that. I teach my neighbors how to do that. Because that is the only way that we are going to improve the situation, is the energies that we broadcast. And so we are being attacked. We are being attacked through those things that bring us life. Food, air, water. However, we are also being attacked on our civil rights. It is absolutely no mystery. These hate crimes have absolutely exponentially exploded with Trump. He is authorizing and giving a carte blanche to white supremacists. The GOP just allowed their election nominee in Illinois, who is a known Nazi. He is a known Holocaust denier. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that someone is going to have a powerful platform when he starts campaigning in Illinois, where he is going to be bringing out these horrible messages that completely denounce the horrors upon which World War II was completely mobilized to stop Hitler? So I say to you, this is a time for us to feel our emotions to learn how to discipline the expression of our emotions, like these beautiful children over in these rallies of March for Your Lives. They feel the depth and the passion. This one beautiful little girl, she threw up on stage, and then she was able to bring herself back to center, and this precious soul sang happy birthday with the thousands of people that were in the audience, that were in the crowds, singing happy birthday to the soul, the beautiful child who got gunned down during the Parkland shooting, and today is his birthday. Nick was his name. And so my point to us is that the work is at hand for us to learn how to manage our emotional state, our spiritual state, and our ability to access intuition. Either go on Amazon.com and buy a bunch of books on how to develop intuition, or hire me. That's what I do. It's one of the things I do. In any case, to get to the truth of a situation, to be able to stay centered and in a neutral observing role to assess what is happening around you is critical right now. It's critical for you to teach this to your children and to those who you have influence over. The other thing that's happening is this phenomenon called gaslighting. Mulvaney just made this intelligent, assaultive comment where he announced that discontinuing Meals on Wheels for the elderly that are poor is an act of compassion. Now you got to let that in. I forget what role Mulvaney is, what his title is. It doesn't matter. They all are an amalgam to me. I just know that they are heads of departments, and they make it clear that they are determined to destroy the very purpose of that department. Just like Pruitt is the head of the EPA, he is doing everything to destroy environmental protection. He is countering science. Well, this guy Mulvaney just made this established statement that it is compassionate to deny the elderly who don't have the funds and or the mobility to have meals brought to them. Now you have to let in the mechanism of that statement. The mechanism of that statement is called gaslighting. Now you can Google that. There are tons of articles that have come out now ever since Trump got into the presidency about gaslighting, because that is the main tactic that Trump and his team use. It is a process, a psychological abuse tactic, where the perpetrator attacks someone who is telling the truth. They are telling the truth based on their direct experience, or they are telling the truth based upon their deductive reasoning of something that's happening. And a gaslighting perpetrator will verbally and possibly physically attack a person by making them believe or attacking them as being stupid, wrong, and they will make that person feel that they don't matter, that they will become riddled with self-doubt. That person will lose their frame of reference of their truth. They will give up, and they will have a soul that shrivels. And typically, a gaslighter will also be a violent person, where they will physically harm or even kill their prey. They are preying upon a person or a group. So when Mulvaney says, or however you pronounce his name, says that it is compassionate to stop bringing food to elderly people who either don't have the mobility and or the funds. This is gaslighting. It is a lie that is attacking a truth. Now, this is happening throughout the entirety of this administration. And what our role is to somehow dig deep within ourselves to find out what we can do to counter this. It's very challenging what we're facing right now, especially with people in power who will protect themselves with lies. Right here, right now, in Sacramento, this wonderful man, Stephen Clark, was gunned down in the backyard of his grandmother's house, who he lives with, or if I have my facts wrong, I apologize. But he was there to help. This is a loving family. He has 2 children. And these police shot him 20 times. And all he had was his cell phone. And the police are saying that he had a crowbar and that they feared for their lives. It's very painful. How do you come back from this? I don't have the answer, but what I do know, and these brilliant children are an epitome of what I'm about to say. I do know that if we all get together in our own little ways and solve this one problem, here is the problem that we are to solve. How do we heal hate? How do we heal intentional evil? Trump was given millions of dollars to counter the Russians infiltrating our country through cyber attacks, and there actually were Russian people who showed up physically in our country at different organizations to bring about the havoc and their end result of tampering with the 2016 elections. So we are being infiltrated by the Russians. We are. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is not paranoia. This is not a Democrat or a liberal or an independent leftist BS type of excuse. This is real. Now, this fund, not one penny was directed to start setting up, countering this ongoing infiltration of Russia, and Russia is already meddling in our 2018 midterm elections. The fact is that Trump, and for whatever reason the GOP are backing him, they are abandoning America. They are allowing Russia to infiltrate us. They do not stand up to Trump, as Trump is annihilating verbally this hero investigator that we have working for America, which is Robert Mueller. Trump is using Hitler-esque tactics of attacking the independent agencies of a democracy so that a dictator does not take over a country. And our independent structures are the Department of Justice and the FBI. Trump's tactic is to humiliate, to bully, to attack, to demean, to lie, and to deface. And he does that based on lies, but most importantly, he does it for his own selfish reasons, so that he himself is not exposed for the violation and the corruption that he is doing and that his family is doing. His son-in-law is under tremendous investigation, not just by our, what shall I call it, our watchdog groups, but other kinds of groups of the business industry. The guy is a con man, just like his father-in-law. And so this is the energy, this is the value structure that has arrived on our shores and is setting up camp and growing exponentially to poison and hurt the American dream. Now, again, I am not saying this to be an empty speaker without a solution. We do have solutions. These children show us our solutions. They show us what it is when somehow a threshold is reached, and they do not care what kind of opposition they have. They are here to bring a message because they want to save their future. And I'm saying the same thing. I'm saying that our future is to be saved by us becoming more and more intuitive. Study how to become more intuitive. There are books, as I said before, but new people are coming on the line, so I'll repeat it. There are books all over the place, Amazon being just one source of many, where you can just pick up a book and study the exercises, practice them in day-to-day ways so that you have your truth. And you establish your ability to bring yourself into a calm, centered place. Start meditating. Start learning energy healing. And I don't mean to become an energy healer. I'm just saying learn how to do it for yourself. Again, I teach all these things, but you could easily go, again, onto any bookseller type of website and just use the search terms: energy healing, energy management. It's time for each of us to claim our personal power by protecting our personal power. And we protect it through our energy field, and we protect it through our intuitive access. We protect it through our demand that we establish a strong personal code of values. The other thing that I want to say is that our education system, this woman, Betsy DeVos, I'm asking each of you, anybody who's listening to this Facebook group, to really study the evil that she is perpetrating in our education system, including dismissing the regulations that would give women a chance to have legal recourse if they're raped. Basically, she is fueling the private school system model and taking funds away from the public schools. And so, again, it is an attack on the poor or the lower class. That is a theme that runs through the entirety of what the GOP is doing, as is evidenced in this tax reform that they've just brought forth. Wait until you feel the impact of that tax reform in 2019. Just you wait. The whole healthcare matter. The promise to be helping the veterans. But in fact, when you look at what Trump and the GOP, the Congress people, Senate and House, when they make their promise, you must follow up as best as you can. And it's challenging, believe me, to get to the truth. I know that. But if you hold the intention to look at what they promise and then look at the programs that they then defund. So what they do is they will promise to stand up for our veterans, but at the same time they are defunding very particular programs that are meant to help the health of veterans, help them in their housing. It is actually a domain of insanity. The reason I use the term insanity is because it is devoid of fact, it is devoid of reality, it is devoid of logic, it is devoid of consistency to make a promise and then have it disconnected by not having the consistent action to match it is insanity by my standards. And Trump is very, very guilty of this. He made promises to donate and to invest in certain programs. He gave promises to send $25,000 to a father whose child was a soldier that got killed in, I guess it was Iraq somewhere. He never sent that money. He never does what he says he will do. Trump is a master of being in the magic of the moment. Whatever his whimsical concept is at the time. And in all cases, his agenda is exclusively to protect his ass. Excuse me, I am a spiritual person. However, the energies of what is happening to us requires that we get a certain kind of message out so that we are not weak, so that we are not afraid, and that we call a spade a spade. And so the purpose here is also to look at the attack on life, which includes our other species. I don't know how much you know, but because of this selling off of natural land, national land, so that these coal mines, and I guess it's primarily coal, can start building their huge structures, they're rounding up the wild horses. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of wild horses that are corralled into what's called kill pens. And these wild horses are killed. They are trapped down with helicopters and shot. They are terrorized with these helicopters that come so close to them that the bottom of the helicopters can actually skim almost the tops of their heads. And then out in Alaska and other places, the regulations in the refuges themselves, those regulations have been lifted where now hunters are allowed to go into hibernating bear areas and kill them while they're hibernating in refuges. And the same is true with wolves. You explain to me what is going on here. You explain to me how a ban has been lifted so that trophy hunters that go to Africa and kill these magnificent animals, most of them, their species are now endangered species, are now able to, just for the thrill of it, come back here and have their trophies mounted and whatever else they're going to do with them. We are in a time where life means nothing other than for whatever handful of people in society, in terms of the majority of people that are not in this handful, are able to just have our country be a playground for their whims, because there is no commitment to the uplifting of humanity, and there is no commitment to honoring other species. There is no commitment to anything other than their own personal short-sighted fun, personal gain, and a very sad, sick, soulless, dark sense of personal power. So right now, today, this rally of these children, and what recently happened a couple of days ago of this innocent Afro-American man, Stephen Clark, that was gunned down with 20 rounds of ammo when all he had was a frickin' cell phone. These police did not do their due diligence in discerning if he was a threat. The same is true with how the police gunned down our family dogs. The point I'm making, and I love police. I mean, I look, anybody who is committed to helping, truly helping save lives, and given the intense darkness of the world that they have to maneuver in as a career, I honor that. But those who are corrupt and those who are not doing their job, they have to be called out. You take a look at those 4 deputies that deliberately stood outside any range of danger at the Parkland shootings. Those 4 deputies that were trained to handle this very type of situation. It is mind-blowing. And most likely, they're not going to be charged with anything. So my point is that we're up against it here. But as these beautiful children have shown us, and then the women's marches, where women were marching for their right to use birth control, I mean, please, you've got to see the insanity of it. We do have power. Even though there have been many times where I've gotten depressed and very defeated because I am an empath, I am a visionary, I see way beyond what most people can see, I feel way beyond what most people can feel. So I am myself working to find how my soul purpose can help in what is taking place right now while still having a very busy personal life. And that is pretty much the game plan for all of us if we're willing to step up and be what I call light leaders. The other thing I want to talk about is immigration. Now look, I don't understand what this illegal immigration issue is, but I will say that what Jeff Sessions is putting out and what Trump is putting out and the lies that immigrants are killers and rapists and they are sucking off Medicare, it is lies. It is lies. If you look at the mass shootings, they were white guys. They were sociopaths in some respect, but they were white. They were not immigrants. And they were not Muslims. And they were not part of some conspiracy theory. Some of them, the guy that did the mass shooting at the Pulse Club in Florida, yes, he was connected to ISIS. However, if you look at the others, these are white guys that are responsible for many, many, many murders. And no one is calling them domestic terrorists. So again, the theme of insanity here, I bring this up to strengthen your permission to think things through, to take the time to pull yourself away from the morass and just contemplate the details of what's happening, and to choose what causes you can get involved with in your own communities that has, my suggestion, at the root of it as some kind of think tank, some kind of community effort to heal hate. What is the solution to hate? I'm not saying to change people's minds, because that's a waste of time, and that's going to get you in trouble, and it's going to make you feel very defeated. The Trump supporters that are his hardcore supporters, just bless them, let them go, and strengthen your side of how you want to do life and how you want to influence others doing life if they are receptive. The immigration situation, I say over and overtly, is our equivalent of the Nazi brown shirts. The way these ICE agents come in, they are lying when they say that they only arrest and they only detain criminals. They're lying. That's not what they've done. They are taking the most vulnerable who are not at all responsible for any harm. They're taking professionals And then there is another movement that is just so heart-wrenching, where they are deliberately removing children from their parents. And nobody knows where their children have gone. Nobody knows what's happening to those children. They could be sold. They could be put into child sex trafficking rings. These things are real. And why do they do it? Because ICE is a Nazi movement. It really is. And the little bit that comes out about what goes on in these detention centers is our embryonic equivalent of concentration camps. Now, why do I say this? Is because I'm piecing things together. Am I reading fake news? I don't think so. And by the way, you have no idea what is fake news anymore. And also, fake news, that was Trump's borrowing from Hitler. And the expression, make America great again, he borrowed that from Hitler also, when Hitler would say, make Germany great again. You are dealing with a president who is committed to becoming a dictator. He is committed to destroying our democracy. And the GOP, for whatever their reasons, is allowing it to happen. Are they afraid of him? Well, maybe, but why? What is their reason for being afraid of them? Because they want to keep their control and they want to be reelected. And they cringe, I think, this is all my opinion, they cringe at having Trump attack them on Twitter. The way he has shredded beautiful, wonderful people like Maxine Waters and McCabe and Comey and on and on and on. And Adam Schiff, the things he said about Adam Schiff is an icon as far as I'm concerned. He's elegant, he's eloquent, he is for America. He's a Democrat head of a committee, and his GOP cohorts have managed to neuter and castrate that very committee. Fortunately, Mueller is still here running some attempt to save America. Again, I am just throwing out all these different pieces that are coming at us all at once. It is deafening. It is deadening. It requires tremendous emotional and psychological fortitude. And we can do it. We have to do it. So I come back. I think I've covered the main issues that have disturbed me greatly and that have been recent. This thing about the wall, it is an irrational desire. The drug dealers and the people that want to migrate to the United States, as far as the drug operations, they don't throw drugs over a frickin' wall. They do it through airplanes and helicopters. They do it by establishing underwater containers that have the drugs. They do it by tunneling deep under the earth. So Trump's delusional lies about a wall protecting us from drugs is just a lie, and it's just not true. As far as immigrants coming over, I don't know what to say about that. Maybe a wall does help, but at what cost? And why would people coming over a wall, or excuse me, I lost my train of thought, people coming over the borders, there are so many other ways of establishing protections against people coming into the country illegally. But look at what this wall is doing. First of all, it's poisoning the land around where, where this wall is going to be set up. It's impacting negatively the communities on both sides, on the Mexican side and on the American side. The other thing is that it is a colossal expense, and it was a lie. Trump, in his bluster and his overreaching and his self-serving charade of being some great deal maker, promised that Mexico would pay for it. Mexico isn't going to pay for it. Mexico has made it very clear they're not going to pay for it. Secondly, his wanting a parade. He is a draining, parasitic, vampiric force that he and his cabinet members have been caught exploiting taxpayers' money while the programs that desperately need funding are being cut back, if not completely removed. So what we have here is an administration that has made America their casino, their playground, and it has to stop. It just has to stop. The more we value our lives, the way these Parkland survivors have modeled for us, and the more we value our right to our emotions, and the more we value our demand that we have a chance at a thriving future, the more we come back to those rights as human beings, the more we will find our way. And again, please consider developing your intuition even more. Please learn about energy so that you know how to read energy, you know how to deflect energy, you know how to release energy. And again, I teach all that, so you can contact me. And overall, it is our time to understand how to deeply empower ourselves. And it is a new awakening for us to learn how to do that. And that really is pretty much what I wanted to say today. I personally have been guilty of giving up because I'm watching a Hitler-esque Mussolini figure in the form of Donald Trump emerge, and he is not being stopped by the very organization or department or structure of our country, which is the Senate and the Congress. They are not doing their job. So these children today are showing us what it's like when a buzzer goes off deep in our soul, when a Richter scale earthquake goes off deep in our soul, when we come out of our trance of being either too busy to really watch what's happening, or we feel so defeated and powerless that we just kind of put our heads in the sand and suffer. These children have shown us how not to do that, and how to be authentic, to be able to throw up on stage the way that beautiful little girl did, and yet she came back and she sang and she mobilized thousands of people to sing happy birthday to her murdered classmate. They are showing us what it is to feel because we are alive, and to use our passions that are alive within us, and to figure out how we are going to create our own movements and help our communities to stop the attack, our arrogant attack on other people's lives and the lives of our other species. It is an arrogance to say that my life is more important than your life, that my fun, that my sense of handling boredom, it's okay for me to torture and kill other species and other humans. My suggestion is that you get very clear about who your Republican senators and House members are. And you start writing emails, and you start making calls, and you start sending letters. And even if they never read them, At least your soul has sent out a telepathic, powerful blast of intention and energy and passion and commitment. And that does go somewhere. It goes into a collective vibrational field. Some people call it the unified field. Some people call it collective consciousness. It does build. It becomes a rolling thought form that is magnetic, and it magnetizes to it similar energy, so it becomes an energy rolling snowball sort of thing. And that's how causes are born. That's how causes are brought into existence on the physical plane. And that's what we can do. I don't have anything else to say. It's Saturday night and here I am with you. So it would be useful for me if those of you who are listening would write your comments about what I've said that was particular relevance for you in your personal life, in your values. It would be helpful to me because look, what am I doing? I'm in my room on a computer talking into nothing because I don't have any interaction with any of you. I'm just tuned into my own heart and my own soul and my own intuition, and this is what I brought forth. And I would love to know what these words were for you. So that's it. Thank you. We can do this. November elections, one of the things that we absolutely can do is to talk to our friends, talk to our neighbors, talk to our colleagues, make sure that they register to vote, and make sure that they tell others to register and to actually vote. And they better vote Democrat and Independent to get the House and the Senate back into hands of the parties that care about the people a whole lot more than what's happening with the GOP. God bless.